While the descriptive statistics give numeric representation or summary of the characteristics of a dataset, visual or graphical presentation is crucial as well. As the name data visualization suggests, we use graphs, colors, shapes, and other visuals to represent and describe data. From data visualization, we are able to discover interesting patterns out of the dataset. Also, when communicating with help of visuals, we can draw attention by highlighting interesting information and help audience focus on areas of improvement. Let's kickstart data visualization by recognizing how appropriate a type of chart is to our data. If we want to find the relationship between variables, be it continuous versus continuous variables or continuous versus categorical variables, we can use charts like scatter plot. If we want to make comparison between variables, be it comparing among items or follow the change over time, we can use side-by-side bar charts or we use line charts. Also, we can explore the distribution of variables, be it within a single variable or two variables. Another usage of chart is to illustrate the composition between variables. Where the chart may be static, then we can use pie chart or bar chart to show, or may be changing over time. This diagram here visualizes the hierarchy of chart choices by answering the question, what would you like to show? This is for our references as of now. To do better visualization, we need not only knowledge, but also critical thinking. In this course, we will introduce three basic chart types. First, the scatter plot. There must be at least two variables constituting the x-axis, which is the horizontal axis, and also the y-axis, which is the vertical axis. Usually, we put the independent variable at the x-axis and the dependent variable in the y-axis. From the scatter plot, we can find the correlation between variables. If two variables are correlated, we can roughly see a trend or pattern, how these points are scattered around. The more obviously we can see, the stronger their correlation is. For example, in this left chart, we can obviously see a pattern which is almost a straight line. This correlation is strong. As compared to the middle chart, we can't identify any patterns, or we say that the correlation is very weak between these variables. While for the right chart, we can still see a pattern, but the points here are not so concentrated to illustrate an apparent line. Therefore, we say that this correlation is only moderate. Now, let's compare the left chart and the right chart. The points give us an apparent upward pattern. This means when the variable x increases, variable y also increases. We call this a positive correlation. On the contrary, we see a different direction in the right chart. When x increases, y decreases. We call this a negative correlation. As a summary, from the scatter plot, we can identify correlation between variables, whether it is strong or weak, positive or negative. Now, I have a quick question. When there are more than two variables, can you think of how do we represent them in a 2D scatter plot? The answer is we can use different sizes, colors, or patterns of the dots here, as shown in here. A very common type of chart is bar chart, and there are many types of bar chart. The main usage of bar chart is to display the count distribution or percentage distribution between categories or between continuous intervals. For example, the first bar chart here shows the count of each group of data, while the second bar chart shows the count over a continuous interval. We can add more components to bar charts. For example, we can compare the counts of different categories using different colors of bars side by side, like shown in the third chart. Also, if we want to know the total count, but at the same time we also want to know the distribution by categories, we can use stacked bar charts where the categories are stacked on the same bars differentiated by colors. We can change counts to percentage too for some purposes. Let's also talk about line charts. Normally, line charts are used when we need to illustrate the change of a variable over time. This example shows the number of new COVID-19 cases over time. To compare different categories, such as different states in this example, we also use different colors or different line styles to differentiate them. For example, here, Selangor is illustrated by orange color, which shows extreme peaks around February and May, while red color is for Sabah, which shows peak around November last year as well as early of this year. There are many other variations of charts that we can explore. Most of them constitute the three types that we have just covered. Some tips for data visualization. Choose the appropriate chart type and visuals. We can refer to the hierarchy of chart types a few slides above. Also, not too much information at once. Visualization should be clear. It is somehow meaningless if we put in a lot of information in one view without bringing out the highlights. Next, consistency of visuals and skills. For example, our Ministry of Health posts about COVID-19 figures every day. They use the same color to indicate the same information. Orange color for new cases, green color for recovered cases, purple color for ICU information, and red color for death information. Lastly, focus on our audience. Different audiences may interpret things differently. For example, try considering people with red-green color blindness, so use color wisely. Being able to do data visualization does not equal having good data storytelling skills. By looking at our data, we can imagine and discover many things with help of data visualization. Also, we learn how to tell stories with this data and with help of data visualization. By selecting suitable charts, we build narratives around data to help convey the meaning of the data in a powerful and compelling fashion.